Hey folks, this is Tully and welcome to some more game dev. Last time we left off, we were basically working on some balance pass on the stats, and we had kind of started to get to the point where we were starting to see our first real combat run now that we're past a lot of the early tutorial cutscenes. The big thing today is just adding as much content as possible. For this first stream, we're going to focus on trying to add a bunch of cutscene polish or add additional cutscenes that we're missing. But the big thing is today is the last day of my vacation. So I've had 4 weeks off from work and I've been focusing on this side project, basically streaming about 4 or 5 times a week. And doing a lot of work off stream as well, just trying to get as much as we could done. And we'll do a review of a lot of that last month in the stream at, well, these times are wrong, at 6 p.m. We ended up having to kind of go a little bit later today, but we're going to be doing from now till 5, so about 2 hours. And then we'll come back after dinner break from 6 to 8, and that 6 to 8 stream is when we'll be reviewing kind of all the work that we've done. Today though, or for this moment in time, we're going to be focusing on the cutscenes. So let's start with getting the new character in. So Drixie did some work yesterday to make a new enemy, which is this one, the one with 2 T's. So this is a lot larger. It's harder to tell the scale, but this is a model based off of Hero, so it's going to look somewhat similar. But it is meant to be one of the Demon Lord's generals. And we've got a couple of good animations here. Essentially, when we take the artifact that we're coming into the Demon Lord's castle to steal, this general is going to come out of the doors and is going to basically defeat Hero, which will send Hero back to the Goddess Realm, where we will then gain the power of the Omni weapon that we have taken, and then use that to go on our first kind of real combat adventure in the forest zone, where we'll be able to fight some enemies that we can actually defeat. So we're going to need to export this. Let's export sprite sheet. We're going to do a PNG file here, and then for this version, I believe I still need to keep the naming of this to be Anim Sprite, because I hard-coded that for some silly reason. When we did the animating props, we made a change to this so that we instead could use a JSON name that matched the PNG. I may eventually go through and rename all the characters so that they operate the same way. But for now, let's just export that data. And if we come into here and do infinite retries, no, tools, characters, slice sprites, that should update that demon enemy, also referred to as the ogre, to have all of its sprites sliced correctly. One thing we might want to also take a look at is right now we're adding a pivot of 0.4 to all players and monsters. I don't know if it matters, but I should dig into whether or not we want to just zero that out like we've been doing with a lot of the other props. Later problem. Let's generate the animation now that we've got all those sprites set up. Also, let's bring the room processor down here behind my head so that I'm not covering or looking at things that cannot be seen. Are we in a debug mode? We are. Okay, so there's the sprites. Here's the animation controller with all the animations set up. If we go into here, we can take a look at all of this. We have a walk, a kick, a bash, and we have a facing for direction. This all seems good. So then the question is going to be, how do we have this enemy approach during the cutscene and actually perform its attacks? I don't think I want to treat it like a true enemy. I think I want to fake the interactions and just have the attacks be performed and Hero play hit reactions. This is our first time really doing a mock battle with our cutscene system, so this will potentially be a bit of a push. We're going to come into here. We're going to take a look at this animation. We're looking for TO4 Omni weapon, so we're going to go find that. And we are going to see what access we have. It's going to be under cutscenes, Omni Weapon. So right now this is just turning the prop off, changing its animation to Anim 2, which makes this thing disappear. We're going to also need to have this character move. We do that a little bit in the Goddess realm, so let's go take a look there real quick. We have this Goddess Spawn, which is an NPC, which uses this dungeon NPC spawner. I think we can just copy this whole thing and take it over to our Demon Castle TO4, paste that in here, and we can have this enemy spawn inside of this doorway here. This should be the right side, but instead of spawning the Goddess, we're going to need to spawn our new enemy. Drixie with the Stretch Redemption right off the bat. I think I missed that, but we will raise the desk and go to stand mode right away today. We will be right back. Okay, now standing. Excellent. So from here, I also want to change up the background music. We need to find probably a piece of music that we feel fits this fight sequence. This is probably a little too calm, but we'll listen to this one for a little bit and see if the sacrifice feels right for this fight sequence. So this is going to be Ogre Spawn, and we're going to need to update or create a new prefab. So this won't be in scenes, this will be in our data, won't be under sequences or TSVs. I think it's just under this folder called prefabs right now. We have a Goddess container. We're going to make a new one of these and we're going to call it Ogre container. Mostly because Ogre is easier to say than Demon Lord's General. It's just a lot shorter. So under the sprite, we're going to swap it from using the animations of the Goddess to instead use the animations of the Ogre. And we'll also give it the default frame. Everything else here should be the same. We do have an animation system on here. The other thing we'll need to do is update, and we saw a little bit of this in a bug a couple of days ago, but we need to update this to say Goddess to say Ogre. If I want to be more specific, I could also do TO4 Ogre, because this is a very specific room. And if we ever get into a bug with this entity, like lingering between maps or something, it would be nice to know which entity. So TO4 Ogre. I guess we could do Demon Castle TO4 Ogre if we want to be even more specific. And then the prefab ID for this is going to be whatever the name we give to this one will be. Where did that go? How did I lose that so quickly? Prefabs. Here. So we went with IT Goddess container, so it'll be the same name as the name of the actual prefab. Okay. And that will be what we will spawn. Facing south seems correct. Now, I believe this will execute as soon as we start, but this character will also be standing in a wall Does that cause any errors? Does not seem to. Can we see the ogre in there? Did it spawn? Wow, it did. And it is perfectly hidden behind the doorway. Okay, cool. So then, what we should be able to do is control that ogre. So if we take a look at the first cutscene with the goddess, we have the ability to move tiles, correct? Let's collapse down abilities, collapse down prefabs, open back up sequences, and let's take a look at the boot intro sequence. Move 2 tiles. So if we give it the indices of that tile, we can make a entity container move there. I don't know if we can move multiple tiles at the same time. Let's see. This is probably under board. No, is it under cutscene? I was saying this in another stream recently, but I feel like we might want to update some of the positions of these classes, because where they show up in these dropdowns is based off their folder location. We might want to maybe update that a little bit because it feels a little confusing. We're going to stop for now. So we're going to want to try moving to 512. No, that is incorrect. This is a badly formatted version. I need to go through and figure out a way to regenerate all the names of these objects, but we have since updated our prop generating tile system to make these names match the actual position of the tiles in game. But this version doesn't have that. So if we copy and paste this so that we don't lose the original, I don't want to lose all my walls and all the different props that we've set up. But if we grab this, okay, let's do this a different way. Drop this down, and then we bring this out here, and we clear this version and generate. We should have 2 overlapping sets. We do. So if we raise it up, oh, these numbers are crazy hard to see. What if we disable the old version so that we only see one at a time? That seems easier. So these are what the values should be under the new system. So we can find that it's actually 714, and we're eventually going to move to 711. All right, so let's try starting with the most extreme example. Let's try moving all the way to 7,11 and see if this successfully moves the character all the way across the room, because that would make our lives easier. And then we're also going to need the ID. I believe this is the ID that we care about. Not entirely sure though, because for the boot with the goddess, we are moving goddess container. Is that the name that we gave? I think there might be 2 different entities if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure though. Yeah, so this is just referred to as goddess. So there must be another entity ID somewhere that controls their movement, and it's probably on the movement component. So if we go back and find the ogre prefab, if we come down into here, is there another entity object here somewhere? Maybe on the sprite renderer? No. Feels like it should be here. This is a copy of the goddess, so it should be set up the same way. Oh, we add container here. Because we need two different entities. We need an entity for the animation, which we use as the main one, and then we have another one for the container, which is kind of the root object of this thing. Okay, cool. So if that's the case, we just need to go back. Grab this. And then inside of our cutscene, which I think I might anchor and lock in position so that we can find it more easily, we're going to add container, because that is the object we're looking for to move, not the actual animator. Some of this naming could be a little cleaner or better documented in some way. So this should cause them to move, and it will be blocking. So if we just do this as a test, we should be able to walk up. The artifact, the Omni weapon itself, should disappear from the pedestal. And then we do not wait. Interesting. This should be blocking. That's just to do with closing the scene. Well, what we can do is we can add a delay here just to see if anything would happen. It's also possible, because the tile isn't revealed, the entity won't move. Okay, we'll try leaving the room and coming back, which will trigger an animation that will reveal the whole space. And we'll see if maybe that helps as well. But I know that the blocking on movement should work, because we definitely have something similar set up for the Goddess Realm, unless we're using a hard delay as well there for that first intro cutscene. Yeah, nothing's happening. We're going to pause. We're going to see no movement here. It's possible that this system doesn't allow us to move multiple steps, would be my next guess. So instead we will move to 714, I believe was the next tile over, and we'll see if that gets any kind of movement. Not seeing any errors about failing to find the entity. It's possible my code does not account for that. We'll give this one more shot, and if this doesn't work, we'll kind of go debugging and see what's going on here. Also possible that because we're spawning the NPC in a wall, that might be preventing us from moving. Yeah, still no movement here. Still stuck in the wall. We'll also need to animate the door opening, but one step at a time. Just want to see the NPC move. So I guess next thing we could try is we could try moving the ogre to be outside of the wall, and then we'll try moving to 511 instead and see if that works. Then we can go debugging. But it's not 511, it's 713 because the naming system is off. This might be one of the few rooms where that's actually going to matter too, but I don't want to regenerate all of those props, and I don't really want to write something that renames all the objects either right now. Oh, right, we need to reveal the whole space. I mean, probably don't need to, but I'd like to. Okay, standing in position now. Still no movement. Okay. Okay, yeah, so then we're going to go debugging. We're going to figure out what's going on. Should be finding this... Oh, that's actually one last thing we can do before we start debugging, is we can take a look at the actual container and see if it has the entity ID that matches. So this is Demon Castle TO4 Ogre container. Did I spell something wrong? No, that looks identical. We'll still paste it in just in case. And it should be set up exactly the same as the goddess, which we know we could move. Okay. Where? Visual Studio. That's what I'm looking for. Let's go take a look at the move to tile. The problem is there's a couple different variations of this, and I'm not sure which one we're looking for. I'm gonna guess it's this one. Let's add a breakpoint here. There is a debug error. So we should be seeing something if it's failing. So that implies that it is trying to move. All right, from the top. Of all the spots for us to get stuck in constructing this sequence, I really didn't expect this to be the problem spot. Oh, we're going to hit that step every time we move normally as well. So we're going to want to take this breakpoint away and only put it back once we actually try and activate the take. Zoom this in a bit. Okay, and then we'll come into here. Add the breakpoint. Not getting in there at all. But we know that this is the right sequence because we saw the delay. Oh, we added the delay in the wrong spot. Yeah, we should probably try and move to the tile and then wait 10 seconds to see if it activates. Yeah, that would be a problem. First time chatter on, looks like YouTube and then coming over to Twitch. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, mostly with the number in the middle. But welcome. Hope you're having a good day. No movement, but we didn't reveal the whole room that time. Oh, and thank you for the follow too. Much appreciated. Alright, so this background music here doesn't feel right for this fight scene. Let's try a different piece. Do we want to do something like... this feels like it's going to be too intense, but we'll give it a listen. Hey, there was movement. Okay. Okay, so this does work. Let's try going back to the original position. We're going to just work backwards till we find out where the problem was. Was it an issue with the wall? I'm just going to manually reveal these. No, it wasn't an issue with the wall. So was it just the fact that we're not blocking the way I would expect us to? Because we shouldn't see them move until the move... We shouldn't see the cloud cover come in until the move is complete. Okay. So then, was the problem that we were trying to go all the way to the final tile? Can the system only move one tile at a time? Which I guess we only needed to move one tile with the goddess, so we may not have noticed that bug in the past. Aha, okay. Did we see any console errors at all? We saw no console errors, but there could have been some sort of log. No, not seeing why that's an issue, but I would guess that we need to add each of these steps individually. So if we want to have the enemy move all the way up to us, we're going to have to add each tile one at a time. Not ideal. I'm gonna guess... Oh, could that be the problem? Actually, I think that might be it. We might be able to make this work. We just need to update this NPC to have a wider range of movement. Because by default, we probably copied... Well, we copied the goddess, but the goddess was probably copied from an enemy. And the enemies have a limited amount of movement that they can take. So if we just come into the movement system and we give the walk movement a very large range, then we should be able to walk all the way to the tile in one step. That's the problem. So this March of Monarchs feels too upbeat. It doesn't feel ominous enough for a fight sequence. And this is going to be too joyous. Lay Siege feels too heroic, because we're about to get destroyed. Okay, didn't reveal the enemy. I also want to kind of just put in a breakpoint here to see what happens as well. So we will come here. I want to see if it's able to find the tiles. Okay. Yeah, it found the tile. It's found the movement. Has a range of 50. Getting tiles in range. There are 65 tiles in range, including... We're looking for 7-Eleven. There is one there. We'll then try and traverse to this location. And it's going to try and reverse backwards through the target, trying to find the original spot. And this will come up with a list of targets. There will be 5. So we'll walk from 715, 714 all the way up to the 7-Eleven position. We're going to start with the first tile, which will be 715 where we're starting, and moving to 714. It's going to do some audio for the movement. And then it's going to do the actual walk. It's going to place the enemy, it's going to, or the NPC in this situation. It's going to do some other stuff. And then it's going to try and do some animation stuff. So it does look like it is working. Let's hit stop. They did walk up. Okay, so it didn't work the first time because we hadn't fully revealed the doorway. I'm guessing if a tile isn't revealed, we don't let you walk. So it just auto-ended. Cool. So the end problem that we ran into for 5 minutes there was simply that we couldn't do a position that was right next to us. Because we didn't have enough range on the NPC's movement component. And then the other issue is that we need to make sure that the tiles are revealed, which will happen naturally because when you first enter this room through normal flow, the whole room will get revealed. Cool. So then, from here, let's go... see about getting that door to open. So we have some doors in here. We might want to try making this an animating prop. So we're going to add a new tag to this and call this idle. We're going to add a new frame. idle will only be on frame 1. And then we're going to go here to another new frame, probably just 2 frames, and call this... Oh, right, all the names are fixed, so this will be Anim 1. And then we'll add another new frame at the very end. Which will be Anim 2. All right. So here, we want to have this door feel like it's opening. The easiest way to do that, I think, is going to be grabbing it and squashing it. I'm going to make a new layer for this so it's easier to keep track of the original silhouette. So if we just do that... Ooh, but we're not going to want to do that to these parts. We're only going to want to do that to the doorway itself, I think, in order to make this look right. Let's do additive selections. Okay. We're going to go halfway. I want to delete this object. There we go. Oh, I guess not yet. What we want to do now is we want to fill this with... I'm going to assume background color is going to feel right here. So 20, 20, 20. And then we're going to fill this area here with darkness. This frame here will be filling everything with darkness. We might want to keep this original color on the edge. Very hard to tell the difference between them, but I think that's okay. So now it'll go from here to this frame where it's fully open. And then this last frame will just be a repeat of this one. Okay. And now we should be able to make it feel like this door is opening up. Oh, odd. I just noticed some of this is getting a little broken. I'm not sure exactly what the perspective here should be. Like, I'm not sure if these golden pieces should be bending with the door. I'm going to leave that to Drixie to figure out. We're going to instead just move forward. We're going to export this to Anim props. And we're going to do 30... purple door left, and we will make a JSON file with the same name. Okay, in here. .json file. Perfect. And this will be of type array. That looks good. All right. So now, if we come back into Unity and we do props slice sprites and then props anim sprites, that should have made an animation controller for the doorway. It did not. Oh, because it pasted the file in the wrong spot. I renamed it, but I didn't re-choose the folder correctly. Okay, now we should be able to do props slice props anim. Perfect. Now there is an actual animation controller with an animation for each of those pieces, and it'll default on anim 1. I think we want to default on idle, which is a thing we're continuously doing for props. I might want to re-update our animation importing scripts to just do that, but for now it's fine to do manually. And let's get the scene updated. So instead of using the decal on the left as a left door, let's do animation props. Oh, we're going to need to repopulate the options. So up here, we're going to populate options. Then we can select this one and choose animating props. Populate options. Oh, right. We have made the sprites, but we haven't actually done the sprite folder to props. So we have to come in here and also do Demon Castle. This workflow could be improved. I mean, things can always be improved, but I'm not liking the amount of steps involved here. Maybe just running create tiles should anim, or do a slice and anim on all props at the same time. Okay, we went from 62 prop options to 63. Now let's come back in here. This is still too intense. That's not the one. We're still looking for a piece of background audio for this fight. No, this is still too upbeat. That's not it. Oh, Clash of Titans? Okay, I like the start here. I could see the enemy coming out of the door. No, don't like that shift. This is good battle music, but I don't think it's going to set the tone we're looking for with this fight. Yeah, not with the guitar. We're using this for something else. Why can't I move? Oh, did I hit a breakpoint? Oh, we did. I was mostly coming in here to see if I could animate this door. So if we just manually come into the animator and we tick anim 1. Okay. And if we do anim 2. So that works. I am going to make one more change here. I think I'm going to make it so that we can transition from here to here. And we're going to change anim 2 to be looping, I think. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more logic we need for animating props than we do for characters, weirdly. Because they often have more, like, I want to go from state 1, which is not on, to some sort of looping state of, like, doing something, and then into a third state of, like, okay, I'm just going to hold on whatever state I'm in now. Like, doors will have this kind of behavior a lot, where it's less idle and more like state 1 into transitioning to state 2, or state 2 transitioning back into state 1. I think as I build more animating props, I'll better understand those requirements, and we can make adjustments to our importing tools. It'll be a little tricky, but I think we could probably set up the naming convention of the tags to kind of create the type of behavior automatically. Yeah, okay, so let's come back into here. Let's rename this one as looping, because it's essentially another idle state we want to hold on. So it needs to be loopable. I believe looping is the correct terminology for that. Or is it just loop? Oh, it might just be loop. That's funny. I think I have been putting in looping, but I bet you that just works because we're looking for a loop. That's funny. Okay, so let's export this again. Export, and then we're going to go up to the correct folder this time. Save over this one. Yes. And this is the right folder as well. Save over that one. Export. We won't need to update the props again because the prop has already been built for this, so we will just need to do the anims. Okay, we don't need the old anim 2, so we can delete that from here and from here. And I'm going to change it so this one can make a transition to this one. We're also going to change it so we can't get here normally. Yeah, this animation tree is much more complicated than our standard, just like everything goes from idle to an animation and then back to idle. Because when we do the character, we just like perform a walk animation, then back to idle, an attack animation, back to idle. But this thing has like essentially 2 idles, which makes it more complicated. So we're going to manually create these transitions for now. I think I want to have it so that if I trigger this and this is set, it won't automatically go here. So it will have exit time. And we'll set the exit time to 1. So it will play. It will not leave animation 1 to go to animation 2 until animation 1 is done, is what we're setting up here. And we won't go to idle unless animation 2 is not looping. Okay. I think that'll do what I want. And if I want to do this for both doors, we're going to have to repeat the logic, but we'll get it working for one door to start. Honestly, I forgot what we were doing. We just want to come into here, reveal the doorway, and then we're going to manually test the animations. So if I hit this, that doesn't do anything, but if I hit this, that works. Then it goes back to this. Okay. I want to see that with proper sizing. So if we zoom in ×2, it feels a little weird. I think it's mostly the green kind of barb part. Yeah, I don't think those should be staying there. They should probably follow with the door, but should remain a little bit. Okay, let's go to these frames, I guess we do want to shrink these in. Maybe we do even smaller indication. Maybe we're supposed to bring this up. I'm just not sure exactly how to... make it feel like it's swinging inwards. Kind of works. It's at least better? Maybe? Debatable? Sure. And we will also just shorten these a little bit as well. Maybe just keep one of these here. So it goes from here to here to here. Weirdly, that made it feel more like it was like popping out of the doorway. What if we darken these? Go from here to it collapsing in. Yeah, I think these are supposed to be really dark. I drew some of this over top of... I need to flatten everything now. Okay. Let's say that's good. Let's export sprites. We don't need to worry about modifying the JSON on this one. We're just modifying the doorway. Save that out. Now we should be able to see... That looks better. It's not perfect, but it's probably good enough. I think the silhouette of the frame needs to be more intense. But if we did have the enemy walk out of the darkness there, it's a little sharp, but I think that'll do. I think that'll do. Okay. So now we need to do the same thing for the opposite side door, because I want, although the ogre enemy is only coming out of one side, I want it to feel like the doors are being swung open on both. So in here, we're going to copy this doorway. We're going to do this on a new layer. This door will be here. Then here we will flatten it. To about the same spot. I somehow changed both door frames. This is about 6 pixels wide. This is about the same. That should be okay then. And we're just going to grab a couple of these pixels. Making sure that we're selecting the right layer. And just darken these a bit to kind of indicate that this is going in towards the doorway. We don't want to be saving this. We should probably save this whole thing as an ASprite file, just so that we do have a backup. And it looks like it is normally all the way across in terms of color. Is this our... No, we want a darkness of 20, 20, and 20. like so. And then we're going to copy this layer and we're going to flip it. Oh, interesting. It actually is more, the right door is more wedged into the side. So in order to make this look right, we're going to need to come into here, grab this color, and pull this down. Again, this is not perfect, but I feel like it's probably close enough. Sure. So we're going to export this, but instead of being left door, we're going to make this right door. And then this is going to be right, Jason. I'm going to make sure this is going to the right spot. It is. We're going to change this to be array. Export that data. Okay, then we're going to do tools, props, slice, tools, props, anim. Then we're going to do daemon, castle, sprites to props to make a prefab for every one of these. Didn't take very long, but I assume it's doing what it's supposed to. It is not, because I added a space at the front of this. There we go. That loading bar looks better. Okay, now we have a right door. Then we have to make some manual edits to its controller, which is unfortunate, but just the way things are. So we're going to make it so... Ooh, every time we run that, it's going to regenerate that transition. What is that transition going to do? Is that going to mess with our... Yeah, it's going to let us go directly to Anim 2 rather than waiting. Okay. Unfortunate. Set idle as default. Make a transition from here to here. Update this transition. Exit time to be 1. Delete this one. Okay. Then we come back into the scene and we swap this one to be the animation version of it. We need to populate options. Okay. Let's hit play and see what happens. At some point, I'm going to run into a problem where I'm going to regenerate the animations and it's going to break things, and I'm going to be sad because I'm not going to realize that I need to come in here and make this manual change again. Right, so that's doing that. Okay. We do this one. Perfect. Yeah, the frame needs to be a lot more intense. Okay. That's gonna work. It feels a little cheap to me. I feel like that doorway maybe even needs to be dithered or something in order to give less of a hard edge of the character walking out. But that should be enough. Let's go back to our cutscene. So we're going to want to add a couple of prop transitions here. So we're going to start by doing animation parameters. We're going to update, what is this going to be? I believe it's add 2 to find the true number is what we're finding. So this is going to be 615? No, 715? That actually sounds right from when we were debugging. We're going to update the left door, and we're going to say, we're going to start with the bool, and we're going to do anim _2. We're going to turn it on. We're going to not give it a duration, and it will not exit or end on animation complete. So it will stay on forever. We're also going to do a similar animation parameter for the tile next to it, which will be 8:15. Again, numbers are wrong here. It's unfortunate. And then this will be another bool turning on with no duration and will not end on the animation completing. Okay, now we need to add 2 more. We're going to do an animation for prop 7:15 of anim 1 of type trigger, which we will turn on with no duration, and we will allow it to end on animation complete. I don't know if we need that for a trigger, but we'll leave it on. It shouldn't hurt. It might hurt. Actually, we probably don't need it. We just want to trigger the animation. We don't care about what it does after it's been triggered. So we're just going to set all of this to default off. I'm starting to feel like maybe they should be default off all the time. So then 8:15 is also going to be updated to trigger animation 1. So we're first going to toggle on animation 2 to be a true bool. Then we're going to trigger both of them at the same time, so it should play through anim 1 and then transition directly into anim 2 because of some of our custom setup. I believe we're probably going to want to have a default delay value rather than trying to have one of these kind of wait until they're done. So we're going to delay for 0.5 seconds, and then we're going to have the demon walk out. Let's see if that's enough to start. The demon general. Only got one. Only got one. That should be an animating prop. Maybe we got the numbering wrong. Let's toggle off this wrong version and then just take a quick look here. Yeah, that should be 8:15. Anim 2, duration 0, trigger, anim 1 on 8:15. Ah, we didn't tick this box. I might want to make custom versions of these parameter drop-downs at some point, because it's very easy to get these entries wrong when most of the data doesn't matter. When most of the parameters are not important and being visible, it kind of makes it hard to see the issues. Okay, so this should cause both doors to open, then wait half a second, then the ogre enemy will walk out. Okay. That's working. I'm not finding a piece of music that's going to work well for this scene. I feel like they're all either too upbeat on our side for combat, or they're too melancholy and not representing the threat of the moment. Like, Simmering Chaos is like the main track we're going to be playing most of the time. No. No. Clash of Titans, this one felt like the closest, but I don't like the guitar section that kicks off, but maybe that's good enough for now. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it is this one. Alright, so I think instead of walking all the way to us, let's first walk out just far enough to stand. Then I think we're going to want to have some dialogue. Which this will not be the container name. This will be the just straight name of the entity. Let's go look for our dialogue system. So inside of here, we have this dialogue. We're going to add a new dialogue entry. We're going to have the character Demon Castle TO4 Ogre speak. And it is going to say, humans. I guess it's human. We'll do medium dialogue. Stay open. Top center, I think, is going to look good here. Then days. Maybe this is on the same line. The dialogue's the part that I think is slowing me down the most, because I have like certain like things I want to get across, but I feel like I'm just like writing it in plain text instead of like trying to embody the character and how they would speak. Also, not having autocorrect has definitely been an issue with grammar. I should probably do a lot of this stuff in a Word doc and then transfer it over eventually. I don't know how I want to say this. Maybe it's just a human in the Demon Lord's castle. All explanation points just represent how mad they are. Yeah, you will be defeated. And then you're gonna get destroyed. Cool. And maybe we end with just hero with like an UG before we get sent back to the Demon Realm after being defeated. Close self. Yeah, that's probably a good setup. Okay, so then over here, we're going to need to start a dialogue. So dialogue system, start dialogue. We're going to start this dialogue. And then probably advance the dialogue twice. And then we're going to want to advance the dialogue, but not wait for it to complete. At the same time that we're going to cause the enemy to move right next to hero. Okay. Then we want to have that be blocking, and we're going to want to have the animations start playing. So we're going to have the container, I guess technically just the ogre, do its attack animation, which I believe is just kick. Yeah. So perform a kick. This should be a trigger animation with no duration, and we will wait on that animation to finish. Then we will advance the dialogue by one step. Tough words from a weakling. Oh, we also need to move hero. So we're going to have the kick activate, and then we're going to move hero one tile to the left. Which will be, I guess, hero. The ogre is moving up to 714, so hero will be on 715. So hero will need to move to 716. Ooh, I think this is player. We've never really moved the player directly before like this. We're gonna just try and see what happens. We also want to play an animation as hero is moving. Oh, maybe after the move, because I don't think we can do this at the same time. We're going to do player death. Bool, toggle on, no duration, do not end. Probably a small delay here. To let the animation play out, maybe 0.4 seconds. We could probably use this thing to be blocking. I don't know. It's going to be easier just to make it a permanent death loop. And we'll just manually put the weight in. Death animation plus like waiting on completion is a little bit odd. I think that then we have the ogre follow after hero falls down. Some of the timing and order of these events might need to be shifted slightly, but hero started on 715, so now the ogre should move up to there. We get a tough words for a weakling. The player can hit A on that. We'll wait for that to be played, and then we'll do an animation parameter after that is clicked for the ogre to perform a smash. What did we call that? It's just a bash attack. Okay. Bash. That'll be a trigger, toggling on, no duration. We'll try making this blocking and see if that works. And then we get a final advanced dialogue with heroes Ugh. And then after you hit A on that, it goes to transitioning to the Goddess Realm as hero has been defeated. I don't think that works first shot, but we can definitely try. How much of this functions, I wonder. Oh, immediate problems because we don't have a portrait. Oh no. Yeah, how much of that is breaking because the portrait is missing? So we need a default portrait for this enemy. Oh, me and Drixie both missed that when we were kind of coming up with all the art assets we needed. Oh, you're here, Drixie. You saw. Yeah, we're gonna need to fix that. I think for now we just do character portraits, make a new one for the ogre. And then the naming convention for this is going to be what? What was it looking for? It was looking for Demon Castle, TO4 Ogre, Base Face, and hello? That should be right. Just so that we don't crash, we're just gonna set up these files, but we're just gonna blank them out. In fact, I'm gonna do this kind of violet color. Magenta-esque. Just so it's immediately understandable that we're missing something here. Oh, and we'll also rename the files here. Ogre and Ogre. Okay. Now let's see how much more of this works. It's possible some of the other things we did were broken. Oh, actually, we got enough tile occupied error message. So that means also one of our setup tiles was not correct either. The name is too long. Move to tile occupied. So one of our positions is wrong. Where? 714. Oh no, this is supposed to be that's trying to move the ogre to the same tile they're already on. So we're going to change that to 711, which should be the correct position next to hero. See if this works. Zoom in also. Little weird that that's disappearing. I'm not sure why. The whole stand is disappearing. It seems still upset that we're moving to a tile that already has an occupant. Seems to be the error message. But I'm not even seeing the kick happen. Interesting. Hello, Amorphous. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good shift. It is going okay. We are trying to kind of do one of the last few cutscenes that I think I'm going to be able to get in today. Based off of how this is going, I think we'll probably get this cleaned up by end of stream, and then we'll come back after dinner, and we're going to kind of review what we've done for the last month. We are on the final day. It's pretty bittersweet. I was talking to Drixie about it earlier today, and I feel like there's this kind of feeling that we have done more in the past month than we probably did in the whole rest of the year. But at the same time, we also didn't make the deadline I had set up. I was really hoping we'd have a demo by the end of this, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. We could probably release what we have now and get some initial feedback, but I really feel like I'm just not happy with it fully. I'm ecstatic with the progress, but the combat itself is kind of the thing that I'm mostly still unsure on. I feel like there's still some features. I'll talk about that at 6 in a couple hours, but I'll get deeper into reviewing the past month and talking about it. But I think that there's generally a lot more that needs to be done before I would feel great about showing it off and being like, hey, give me your feedback, because there's just still so much that's wrong. No, immediate error on move tile sequence. Interesting. Which move tile? Because I added a 1-second delay in here, so you shouldn't even be getting to the 716 one. It should still just be this one. But it looked like they had already moved up to it. So let's add like a 100-second delay here to make sure that I'm seeing that error. I'm not seeing some weird overlap, because it feels like it's either the player. Oh, we weren't 100% sure that the entity ID for the player was correct. We can also, honestly, just put a breakpoint here and we can see what content is where. So what is it trying, where is it trying to move, and why is there something already there? Yeah, exactly, Amorphous. Nail on head. The Amorphous in Twitch chat says that's entirely fair. If the most common feedback is going to be stuff you already know about, playtesting would be kind of inefficient. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. There's a lot of stuff that I like to do mostly around the way combat works, and that's in no small part because we just didn't get to it. We spent a lot of this past month working on the map editor stuff, the cutscene refinement stuff, and like, although this looks bad in the moment, most of it is actually pretty solid at this point. Okay, so with the 100-second delay, we are not seeing the error. Yeah, Drixie says in Twitch chat, playtesting is for head pats, and I think that would probably be fair if we wanted to try and get like, just like, hey, what do we like about it? We could probably get some like reasonable head pats from folks if we released what we have right now, but I think I'm okay just trying to clean up most of the early cutscenes, and then over the next few weeks we'll probably just continue to tackle things as we have been in the past. Yeah. So 100 seconds is way too long because that's going to take like a minute and a half or something. So we're going to change this back down to 1. In fact, we could probably just delete this step at this point because I'm pretty sure it is this one that's the problem. I'm going to validate if we turn back on the proper naming convention, because the current names on the floor are a bit wrong. Yeah, I was completely off with where I thought we were. So yeah, we're trying to go outside the map. We want to be going to 7-9 is where we want to be trying to go. Okay, so completely wrong information here. Oh no, I do want to delay there. I was just thinking I'll delete this delay because we don't need it for testing, but I actually think we want a bit of a delay in that moment. Let's collapse. No, we won't need to. Because we're going to want to have the kick happen, and after a few seconds into the kick, we're going to want to have Hero move as a reaction to it. We could probably figure out the exact amount if we look at the kick animation, which right now feels a little too slow. What's the timing on this? 200. Ooh. Yeah, that's not great. Let's change that to be like 100. Frame properties 100. So we'd probably want Hero to start moving back around here. And we'll make this one a little bit longer. And if we highlight all those, Sprite is telling us that that is Now it's saying it? No, I have to hover it? Yeah, bottom left. I can't move my cursor to it, but it says that's 600 milliseconds. So about 0.6 is what we need to put in here. We will need to also export that JSON file for the animations as well. Export sprites. Don't need to modify the actual PNG, just the JSON. And then we can do characters, anim, and that'll update everything pretty well. Turn this back on, turn this back off, and then hit save. Okay, so we should perform the kick at 0.6 seconds. There should be the idea of an impact with the player. The player will then move to the left. Now, this is technically a normal move, but we probably want to do a shove move, which I don't know if we have an easy sequence step. We do it during combat. So the kick animation didn't play, but otherwise... Oh yeah, there's some weirdness going on there. Definitely missing aspects of the cutscene, but we managed to get to the end of it, which is an improvement. Drixie with the hydration redeem and Amorphous with the stretch. I'm already standing, so this is honestly, I've been standing for an hour and a half, so it's probably a good idea to sit back down. So appreciate it. Appreciate it all round. I'll be right back after I move the desk to a sitting position. Drixie wants squats. I guess we can do squats, but I'm still moving to the sitting position after that. So we're gonna... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now we're sitting down. You're all right, I'm all wrong. But I can still sound annoyed or unenthused while doing the squats. But I do appreciate the health and the concern about the living parts. Okay, so the death animation played and the movement played. But we want to have the character lock their facing when moving so that it doesn't feel like they're just walking to a new tile, but that they're getting pushed to a new tile. And then we didn't see the enemy move to what I thought was going to be 715, but I'm now realizing that is very wrong because Hero should have been on 710. Oh. Can I undo whatever I just did? Yeah. Yeah, I got very confused about my positionings at some point. So we're going to move to 710, and that's probably what prevented us from doing the bash, but even that's a little weird. I'm going to unset that as blocking for the time being, and we're going to just add another delay here, because technically we don't want to wait for the animation to fully finish. I think we want to just wait for, like, probably a similar 0.6. Yeah. give that a shot and see if that works. And just, I'm going to make sure bash was the right term, right? Yeah, that's the right animation. And that looks to have a good delay on impact as well. Amorphous in Twitch chat with a random question. We haven't heard from Chester around in these parts in quite some while. How has he been? Chester has been good. Obviously I haven't been streaming a lot other than the game dev and stuff in the past month. But also Chester's been busy with work and life, so it hasn't really come up in a while. Talks of doing any future streams. I doubt we'd see that, but you know, life is good for Chester. I'll let him know that chat was curious. And that you all say hi. And by y'all, I mean you, Amorphous. Okay, I think this should work. Let's give this another shot. It's just slowly refining it. I wish that this was a little easier to do. I have a couple of other systems we could do to make the actual editing of cutscenes simpler, but it's kind of buggy right now and I haven't got around to figuring out what's going on. But we can make it into like a prefab object that then converts it. We're not seeing the kick or the bash, are we? Let's see if we can trigger it manually and just make sure that it's functional. So if we have the animator here, did it play that time? I feel like I saw it for a second. Maybe I was just seeing the movement. There's the kick. And there's the bash. Oh, that's interesting. The bash doesn't work very well when Hero's on the ground because of perspective stuff. I'm still probably going to set it up, but yeah, Hero's technically like floating because Hero doesn't lay flat. Yeah, billboard nonsense. This is working. So the animation triggers just aren't working then. Huh, maybe we shouldn't have Hero fall right away then. Well, regardless, we need to get the animations working. That's still required. Let's go to anim. Parameter. Sequence step. Invoke call. We're going to want to put this on not right away. Oh. Neat bug. I see the problem, I think. So I've set it up so that for the bool based ones, we can have it so that it doesn't end automatically on, let's zoom this out. I've set it up so that there's this parameter for end on complete, which is mostly set up for bools so that the bool doesn't just complete itself when the animation ends, and we can kind of toggle that. But for trigger animations, it adds like this automatic wait inside of it. And that automatic wait works off of that existing... Oh. What is... Oh, that's super wonky. It was like modifying different ones. Different parameters when I hit the tick box. These are all still set up okay. Okay. I mean, technically speaking... We don't need these tick boxes on unless we want this to be blocking. No, that's not the bug either. It is a weird one, but it's not the bug. We're gonna have to debug. Yeah. Because technically it's non-blocking, so we're not gonna stall. But there is a weird bug here that if we did want them to be blocking and we wanted to... Yeah, basically if it's a trigger type, we should ignore this parameter. Okay, not the problem. It's gonna cause me headaches later, but not the problem right now. Let's reveal everything first, get in position, trigger the cutscene. We're going to add a breakpoint here for when we actually do animation.set parameter. We're going to hit it here. We're going to see that we're going to be trying to animate interact. That's fine. Then the doors are animating, then the doors are animating, then the doors are animating. Okay. We didn't even see the kick. Here's the bash. We're giving it the wrong entity ID. Huh. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That would explain why we're not seeing it. It just doesn't error or anything. It just exits. So I guess the animation also wants to be container? Sure. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that we didn't need container. I think I was expecting we would need to access the animator, which is on where the entity with the non-container index is added to, or entity ID. For here, we want to add an error message so that we know what's going on in the future and it's not just failing silently. Failed to find animation component on entity ID, and then whatever the entity ID is that we're trying to find. So at least I'll know, like, oh, that I got an entity ID value wrong. And this is where a lot of our bugs are going to come from, I think, as we build cutscenes in the future, is just the fact that we operate on string IDs, which means it's very easy to put in the wrong string ID. So our error messages need to be very clear. Okay, let's reveal. Okay, so those animations are working. The timing's a little off. I don't love the timing. Hello, Shark Boy on the YouTube side. Thanks for stopping in, and I appreciate it. Maybe I was wrong on the 0.6 here. Okay, we will get this cutscene working. In fact, I think it's mostly there. It's just kind of refinement now to make it feel better. Let's zoom in all the way. Okay, so we fully reveal the room when we first enter, which we haven't been doing a lot because it takes a bit of time to see that animation. We pick this up. Text is too long there. The reaction to the kick is way too long. Way too long. Do we... We're not blocking until that animation is done, are we? Like, why... Oh, we are blocking on the kick. Okay. I thought... Doesn't matter what I thought. Data was wrong. Moving on. Okay. Okay. Couple more refinements. Let's get Hero's dialogue not overlapping. Here. So for when Hero speaks, let's do, instead of top center, let's do bottom center alignment. And then I don't have a way of doing this right now, I don't think, but I don't love the text still appearing with Hero saying, "You will be defeated," as everything else plays out. I kind of want to auto-close this dialogue during the cutscene without you even having to push A, which is a little unorthodox because I feel like most of the time the player is going to want to have control of when the dialogue goes away. But it would be kind of neat here. Seeing as we can't do that right now, we'll make it so that you have to push the button, but we won't have the dialogue appear until they walk up. Can we change facing? We probably want to look at the Demon Lord as well. Is that under combat? Set unit's direction. We do have that as a parameter. So before we look, or before we bring up the dialogue, we will face... Oh, I have no idea which way we're supposed to be facing. And I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be player, but let's say it's player, and let's try north to start with. Ooh, I can actually check the goddess one. The goddess intro also has a set facing, which is face south, which is back towards Hero. So north is the correct direction we want right now. Cool. All right, two more things I want to fix. Number one, I want to figure out what's going on with the pedestal disappearing after we pick up the object. That's the Omni weapon in here. Omni weapon definitely has a sprite, and this should be Anim 2 looping is what should be being triggered, which if we open that up for sprites, we don't see an entry. But if we go to Anim 1, we do. Unfortunate. Okay, So let's try re-parsing the prop sprites. Let's slice them, and then let's animate them, which is going to mean that we're going to have to fix the door, because the door has some manual edits to it. Now that's set up correctly. Weird. I'm not sure why it would have messed with that, but if we come back in here to this, we're going to need to delete this transition that's getting created during that automated scripting system. Okay. Don't know why it's complaining about that. Probably because we had this window open while we were editing it. Sure. And then the other thing is dialog box. Is that a prefab? There are two variations. We want the infinite retries variation. We're going to open this up and look at it in 2D mode. This text for Ward is too short. This is the title or character name. For the time being, because we don't have an easy way of resetting the name of the enemy, we're just going to make that longer so it's not clipping. Yeah. And let's see if this is feeling better. From the top. Full screen. Oh god, we used the whole 2 hours on this one cutscene. Like, part of me is like, does it take 2 hours to make a cutscene in our system? And it's like, yes and no. I think it's more accurate to say that, like, there's a lot of sequence steps and parts of the cutscene that we haven't used in a while. I'm happy with that, though. I think there's some stuff we could do where we could make it so the move tile for Hero is like locked facing, so that Hero is like sliding rather than walking away. But I also feel like it kind of feels like when the ogre is kicking Hero, Hero is like flipping around and like losing balance and then falling. I don't mind it. Does it look like super professional and high end? Not quite, but for a first pass, I'm gonna say I'm good. I'm good with that. It's definitely getting the idea across. Because the point of this cutscene is to do a couple of things. First, we're going to be introduced to a strong enemy that we're going to run into later, way later, and we're kind of seeing their power. I'd like to maybe eventually have like damage numbers come off so that we actually see this enemy when they attack. We do like a fake 9,999 damage to really indicate how strong they are. But I think more so than anything, the main thing here is it's like, why is Hero returning back to the Goddess Realm? And it's because the hero dies and is then reincarnated again. And so, like, otherwise, if we just pick up the object and then teleport, it's like, why did that happen? And this scene, at its very least, is explaining, you know, what's going on there. One other thing I'd like to try doing is maybe making it so instead of the demon clipping in front of Hero when Hero's laying on the ground, or clipping behind Hero when Hero's laying on the ground, it'd be interesting if we could maybe have it so that the demon maybe moves around to the other side. Like here, if the enemy, the ogre, moved to the front, it's a little bit of a weird, odd move, but it could look better. I'm gonna give it a shot. I don't like having modified this dialogue entry either, but fixing the name is going to be a tricky one because we're going to need to write a new design data, which I can do. It's just going to be a little bit of work. All right, let's anchor this back here again. And now we have a better understanding of what we're trying to do. So instead of moving to 714, we want to move to 8-9. I believe this should just work. And then we're going to want to update the facing before we do the bash attack. So same thing, I think that was under combat. Set units facing. And then I'm not sure whether this is going to be west or east. We'll try west first. Should be this. Watch this one be the one that's without container. Okay. Oh. Well, all our walls are gone. Let's fix that. We're going to leave and come back so that we get the whole sequence of the whole thing glowing. I think that works better to me. It doesn't feel like they're contacting Hero. Like the facing and the positioning feels a little bit off. I'm not really feeling an impact. We could probably play a particle to indicate the impact as well to help sell it a bit more. Also, like when we normally fight enemies, we have like a flash of the sprite. We could probably add that sequence step and make it more like a true ability. We can make it more impactful, but I think I like the walk around front. It makes it feel more like the ogre is like looming over Hero. Yeah, this is getting really cumbersome. I still haven't picked a piece of music for this moment. I'm just not feeling like there's anything that's quite working. No, it's not that one. It's like either too soft or too intense. I think it's probably got to be Clash of Titans for now. Let's open the audio manager. This thing's becoming too unwieldy. We need to switch to prefab mode, even though it's going to generate a ton of editor errors. And I might need to close and reopen the editor at some point. It's too cumbersome to drag everything up and down in this list now. So we're going to go to game object mode. Oh, we're all the way down here in Audio Land. Yeah, okay, so then we need to come up to here, scroll up into this area. We're going to make a copy of intro, replace this with Omni Weapon, and we're going to repath this prefab to this ID. We're gonna come into here. Unity's gonna get mad at us. Okay, we're gonna show the construct option and we're gonna hit construct. Where did it go? Oh, did I just stomp all that work? I didn't stomp all that work, did I? No, okay. In fact, we should probably make a backup just in case. That was a bit scary. Delete all of these objects, maybe? Construct? No, it's upset. Oh, that's nothing. Why is construct not working? It must be failing to find the object. Oh, is this not an addressable location? This is like a directory? Ah, it is a directory. Okay, so this needs to be Demon Castle TO4 Omni Weapon. That should be still correct. Oh, it doesn't need Omni Weapon twice. Okay. It just needs to be TO4. Come on. Construct? Still no? Assets, infinite retries, content, design data, sequences. Cutscenes, sequences. Wait. Is that right? Sequences, cutscenes. Yeah, okay. S. Construct. Skip the breakpoint because I think I got it right this time. I still didn't get it right. Okay. Assets, infinite retries, content, design data, sequences, cutscenes, Demon Lord Castle. There's two. There's two. Okay. I need to remove the slash at the end. Maybe? Do I need to drag it into the scene the first time to make it work? No. The idea here is that when I give it a sequence name, it should try to create a series of mono behaviors under this object, which I then can compile back into the asset. That's what we are trying to do. Assets, infinite retries, content, design data, sequences, cutscenes, Demon Castle, TO4, Omni Weapon asset. Which is coming back as null. I feel like maybe it should actually use addressable IDs, because this would be a lot easier if I could just grab the addressable ID. we're going to open this all the way up, and we're going to take a look at the bottom down here. So, assets, infinite retries, content, design data, sequences, cutscenes, Demon Lord, Demon Castle, TO4, Omni Weapon, dot asset. That looks like the same path to me. Assets, infinite retry assets, content, design data, sequences, cutscenes, Demon underscore Castle, TO4, Omni Weapon dot asset. Well, good talk. Super confusing. Because if I go to the other variation, I had one for intro in here. And I was using this the other day. Let's make a second version of this. We'll just leave it back up. And then if we come into here and we hit delete on this one, and then we hit construct, it finds it. And it constructs a step with everything all on one piece, but then you can like break it up and make it into like individual steps and game objects if you want. So why does it work for intro, but it doesn't work for Omni Weapon? Oh my god, there was an extra S after... Oh my... Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, there was an S right before T, just a real simple typo, and I just wasn't spotting it. Okay. So now the nice thing about doing it this way, it does require a bit more setup, but what we can do is, and I probably should have done this from the start, is we can make a bunch of these individual steps, and each one of these steps can do like one thing. So this one's like play music, So then this can be play music. And then this one can be like all of this, which is like door animation, basically. Change this to be... I can't really do one entry. I have to delete each one of these manually. Okay, and then this one can just be the door stuff. So we can delete everything in here that isn't the door stuff. Anims, 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 anims. Oh, this is also the pedestal, the artifact disappearing too. Door. Like so. Can delete that stuff from this one. Copy and make a backup of this, and then we can delete everything here, which is moving them out. Ogre up here. And then we can leave this together so that this has all the dialogue stuff in it. And if I want to, I guess I could separate the transition here. Okay, and this is like the transition. And this is dialogue and fight. And this could probably be broken up a little bit more, but the dialogue stuff gets kind of weird if you try and break it into different pieces, because it uses a little bit of like editor window kind of stuff to kind of grab this asset, load it in behind the scenes, and then show each dialogue entry. It will work even if I separate it, but it's easier if it stays together. Okay, and so what that allows me to do then is we can come back into here. We have an Omni weapon backup, so we don't have to worry. We can like essentially delete all of this if we wanted to now, just to kind of show an example. But if we delete all of this stuff and then we come back in here and we hit compile, that'll rebuild all of that information into here from each of these sub steps. And now that each of these are separated, it's kind of a lot easier to kind of like manipulate them in chunks opposed to in one massive list. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I want to come into here and I want to play some sound effects. So we want to have some different hit effects, I think. So here we are doing the kick. Probably on impact, we want to play some sort of sound effect. Audio manager. Interesting. I kind of want to keep Omni Weapon open as a prefab so I can like modify this thing. But if I want to check on audio names, I have to open the audio manager as well. Just going to collapse a lot of this stuff. Okay, so under Audio Manager, I want to see what are our battle sound effects. We have an explosion, we have the thunder, we have a confusion reveal sound, some tile rising sounds, which I don't think we're using. basic attack, I think, is the sound we want for the time being. So in here, we're going to add a basic attack. And then do we have a more intense audio for like a bigger hit or something? We have like fire magic, heal, miss, defense, bigger attack. Sure, let's use bigger attack. So we're going to come in this way and we're going to add another audio sound effects. We're going to add that after the bash and we will play bigger attack sound effect. So that should be okay. I'd also like to add a sound effect on the doors opening, I think. Audio, play sound effect. Let's do that here on trigger. Should be fine to just do at the bottom. The question is what sound makes sense for the doors opening? I don't think we have anything like that. We have battle sounds. We have UI UX sounds. I think /5 could work. Maybe a block. A little too sharp. Could work. Could work. Not the door opening sound I'm looking for. What about impacts? Ooh. That could work. I think that could work. What are we using right now? We're using level ups for crits, so we're not overlapping there. I don't want to use the same sound. Door sound. We'll just call it door. Give it 1 entry. We'll do impact 5. We'll call it door open. We'll give it a regular amount of volume and no pitch shifting and no variance. And then we can come back down here into the Omni weapon, which I passed. And we'll play that sound effect here. Now if we hit compile, that should add it all back into here, which is getting a bit cumbersome, but we can see, yeah, door open is in here. Yeah, and it gets very slow to scroll through this thing, which is another reason to try and like break it down into prefabs at some point when it gets big enough. Okay, let's see how this sounds with audio. Oh, we're a bit over time. We're a bit over time. Okay, we need to stop for lunch, and then we need to just accept that this is as far as we've gotten and come back and review. In an hour. Okay, let's pause that audio and turn on this audio. Let's double click here. Okay. Okay. That feels way better. And because the sequence is so short, even though I don't love the guitar solo parts of that song, you'd have to sit there for a while to get to it. And I actually think it fits really well during that first little sequence. So if you're kind of tapping as you read, I think that audio for that music will work well enough. Okay, I think that is that intro scene. Anything else we want to clean up before we go for lunch or dinner, I should say? I don't think so. That all seems good. Oh, I guess maybe like the kick sounds and stuff could be like slightly delayed. Probably don't want to play this one till after we've have the impact moment, which we were already doing there. So it was only Bash that I caught that was a little weird. One of them seemed off to me, and that was the one. Okay, cool. So we will be back in approximately, oh god, 45 minutes now. I got leftovers. It's fine. In 45 minutes, we'll be back. We'll continue adding content, but I think for the first part of that stream, we're really going to be reviewing, honestly, the first 4 weeks, and I'm probably just going to talk for half an hour about just where we've been at, just so I can reference it in the future myself, just kind of to overview 4 weeks or a month of work, and really just get an understanding of what did we do? Partly for my own sanity, because it feels like we didn't meet that goal, but we did a lot. And we're also just going to review and play through the whole game as it currently stands. For now, though, this is going to be Tolhi signing out. Later, folks.